We are live, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. رب لا تذرني فردا وأنت خير الوارثين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم نور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان والقرآن والإسلام وبمعرفتك. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amen. We are going to start, inshallah, to study chapter Quraysh. Very early, one of the very early revelations of the chapter of the prophethood. This chapter, somewhere around to the second year of the mission of the prophethood, when the prophet started receiving the message and spreading it to the people around him at that time. This is chapter Quraysh. Quraysh is the name of the tribe who were residing in Mecca, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was one of the people of this tribe. So Mecca has a specific place because of the Kaaba being there. And Quraysh was the tribe which represented the Kaaba. And they were loyal to their tradition, to their tribal pride. They were respected by all the Arab tribes in the area, which is called Hijaz, the area of Hijaz, because they were treating all tribes equally. They were respecting them. They were serving them. That was their culture, their tradition. They took pride of this position. So among the people of the area, all the tribes in area, the name of the tribe of Quraysh was equated to Kaaba. Kaaba was known that time, even before the prophet declared his religion or started receiving the revelation from God. Kaaba was named as Baytullah, the house of God. And the house of God was, the God is, in their eyes, God was the creator of the universe. And for them, their patriarch of their tribe was Ishmael. Ishmael was famous because of Abraham. In the course of time, the title of the prophethood was forgotten. But Abraham was the father of the tribe, which is called, because his son, he brought his family there, and his son Ishmael got married with an Arab lady from the tribe Jurhum. There are lots of Qahtani tribe, and these are not our problem here. But we have to know that Abraham and his son Ishmael and his wife Hagar all were from children of Israel. It means they were not Arabs. Ishmael wasn't Arab, but he got married with an Arab lady, so his descendants became Arabized people. It means mixture of Arabs and mixture of children of Israel. So that is the tradition between the difference between Judaic tradition and Islamic tradition. Although Judaic tradition doesn't deny Ishmael and Hagar, as Ishmael is being the son of Abraham and Hagar is being wife of Abraham, and they belonged to the children of Israel. So they were Israelites. They acknowledged that historically in their sacred book Torah was also accepted that. So they don't deny, they don't say anything, but they say because the descendant of Abraham through Ishmael and the children of Ishmael were half children of Israel, children or the children of Israel, Israelites. So they say it is not pure, but Abraham had another son from again a lady from an children of Israel, and Isaac, Ishaq in the language of the Quran, Isaac got married with the children of Israel, with a lady from the children of Israel. That is how the race started creeping in the discussion of the heritage of Abrahamic religion. Of course, children of Israel kept the notion of prophethood from the very beginning, but Arabs didn't have the notion of prophethood. They were pagans. So they looked down at the Arab people because they don't have religion. They don't know what God's book is. They don't know what prophethood is, etc. So they said real descendants of Abrahamic tradition is through Isaac. I'm telling all this is not really related to our subject, but just to know that why children of Israel, Israelites, do not accept Islam because of the racial competition. Our race is pure. Ishmael's race is not pure. So what? I don't know. So what? But this is the historical fact. And nowadays, it is still continuing this competition, although Muslims have no racial issue. So the followers of the Quran, which came through Ishmael, and then one of his descendants, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his religion is through not a pure Israelite race, mixed with paganism, pagan people. They don't look at the message, but they look at the race. That is the core uh, doctrine of Israelites. Uh, they identify everything in terms of race. And also, we all know, you all know that now Jews are Israelites. And Israelites, because they received many, many prophets, believed that in the line of Isaac, but Ishmael didn't have many prophets, only Muhammad at the very end, very, very, very end. So they said, look, our uh, race is blessed with many prophets. Ishmael's descendants were not blessed with prophets. And Muhammad, according to them, was not really a prophet, just copied or imitated a Torah tradition and changed it into in a weird way, according to them. All right, they can claim everything. Anybody can claim anything. We don't mind about it. That's their business. But what we do, we don't look at the face, race, but we look at the message. Now we see that in the hands of the Israelites, the children of Israel, the message turned into mainly racial distinction, if you like. And the children of Israel became the chosen children of God and has given a special status which goes against the definition of God, which is an injustice. Somebody's God created somebody from his birth, well qualified than me to be the worshiper of God. What is my mistake then? Why am I being treated unjustly? There is no answer to it. That is why this religion needs to be corrected or put in the right path. And when Muhammad came with the message, or when Muhammad started receiving the message, peace be upon him, the messenger of God, we say that the messenger of God, we mean Muhammad. Let's put the messenger of God now. The messenger of God said it is nonsense. God is just. God creates every human being equally. And God is the one who decides whom he is going to reveal the message. But he has chosen me, not my business. I'm just appointed by my creator. If I don't convey the message, I will be punished. There are clear verses in the Quran. That's why I have to do it. If you don't follow the message, if you don't take the message seriously, you are in trouble. But if I am in double trouble, if I don't convey the message, I am in trouble. If I don't follow the message, I am in trouble as well. But you are in trouble if you didn't follow. You would be in trouble if you didn't follow the message only. But I have to. That's why no one can stop me. Otherwise, I am really afraid of God's punishment. So uh, that is where the messenger of God stood in his delivering the message. Quraysh was, let's come back to our main subject now. Quraysh is important not because they were the best pure Arab race or tribe. No, not because they were the honest people among the Arab tribes. We don't know. Everybody does anything. We don't know. But because they took pride of their position that they have to treat all the tribes, or Arab tribes, equally so that they would preserve their position in the eyes of all other tribes. That is their mission, that they have to do it. Otherwise, they would lose the value in the eyes of the Arab tribes, and they wouldn't come to Mecca. And if they didn't come to Mecca, there wouldn't be carnivals or other trade business, etc. It would be a devastating position for them. So, not only because they were really honest, but we cannot say that they were not honest, they were dishonest, no, but because of their position, they were respected by all others, and in order to keep this respect, they treated them equally and well. They were respectful. All the pilgrims coming to make a Kaaba and making a festival, and this festival was the source of income, main source of income of the area. That was the concern of Quraysh. So when the messenger of God started spreading the message, announcing the message, of course they felt challenged. That is another story. That is another story which is not related to our subject. They felt challenged because they thought if they if they accepted the message that the messenger of God, which we mean Muhammad here, the messenger of God took place in the eyes of the people at the highest place, the honorable place, as the messenger of God who was employed, what would happen? All the leading figures, chieftains of Quraysh tribe, at least would become second status people, not the first, and not the leader of the community. That was their concern. But the concern of the messenger of God wasn't anything to do with the leadership or anything. So he was saying, just worship one God and get rid of these idols which represented the honor of each tribe. That's why the tribes were coming. In the house of God, they had their symbolic idols, represented them, and these idols were their identities. We have to understand that. That is why the idols represented the honor of each tribe. And as long as these representations of the tribes were kept in the Kaaba, everybody felt that they have to respect, they have to protect Kaaba. In order to protect Kaaba, they have to protect Quraysh, because the area, Mecca, the city or town Mecca, was occupied by not occupied by, inhabited by the tribe Quraysh. So, and Quraysh was honest to them. So they said, okay, as long as you are honest to every Arab tribe and keep our idols in the house of God, because they accepted Kaaba as the house of God, so you are respected as well. So you will be the custodians of the house of God. They were given this title. They were honored. So the Quraysh in this chapter is going to represent Kaaba. So we are not going to read the honor of a tribe. That is why I spent that much time on it. We are not going to read the honor of a tribe, We are going to read the honor of Kaaba and what Kaaba represents, not what Quraysh represents. Because Quraysh is a tribe, but the main point is Kaaba, because Kaaba is the center of, at the end, it will become physically the center of the revival of the Abrahamic tradition without being polluted with racial discriminations, competitions, your race, your tribe, my tribe. No, we are going to be the followers of one God, who is the creator of the universe. And this God has employed Abraham to establish this place of worship that we have to understand. When we read the Quraysh, we think that we are reading the story of Quraysh. No, nothing to do with it. But Quran always speaks in a figurative way, gives the palpable physical examples in order to let us know what the reality of ghaib is. This is a way of uh, presenting the subject. Otherwise, ghaib cannot be describable. You cannot describe ghaib. Ghaib is the absolute one. Absolute is not to be described. You cannot describe absolute. That is very essential. That is why Quran is full of parables, analogies, metaphors, similes, stories, figurative speeches, endless. You can write them. So here is we have to understand that this is a symbolic teaching of the importance of the heritage of the Prophet Abraham, symbolic teaching of this importance of the heritage of Abrahamic tradition, by again symbolized with the Kaaba. It is just cubic building. A building is nothing to do with palace or something. Maybe it is the simplest four walls out of stone. That's it. Nothing, no architecture, no figures on it, no art, nothing. It means, in and of itself, it has no value as a building. We will understand how the Quran represents this case as well, as long as we continue studying the chapter. So, the Kaaba represents Tawhid. So we have to see that how Kaaba represents Tawhid and why the old tradition of Arab nations or tribes tradition was transferred into Islam as well as pilgrimage. They were also calling it pilgrimage, visiting the uh, house of God, but their aim was visiting their idols, symbols in the house of God. They were going and paying respect regarding the sacredness of their tribal representative idol, not the heritage of Abraham, which was supposed to be represented, which was supposed to represent God's oneness, absoluteness, was what that was Abrahamic tradition, but it was forgotten. By Arab tribes, it turned into also a racial distinction or identity. Coming from Abraham, Abraham is the not founder of, as a prophet, of course, as a prophet, representing the foundations of one God. According to Arab mentality, Abraham represented the uh, archetype, if you like, or patriarch of Arab nation there through Ismail. But it happened that Abraham built this building. Yes, they accept that. But for what? They didn't say it is built there in order to ask people to worship one God in the, if you like, prayer place, worship place, only worshiping God, because there was no representation there. But later on, it is spoiled, turned it into tribal uh, means of tribal identity by the idols. We have to understand all this, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to understand the Quranic message really clearly. We would be reading just Quraysh history, the history of a tribe. None of my business who is Quraysh. So, لإلاف Quraysh, for the security of uh, Quraysh, so for the security of Quraysh. They say something Ilaf is a travel, etc., journey, but they turn this word Ilaf is journey, travel, turned it to the trade, uh, caravans going to the south, going to the east, in the north. I would say they go to the south during winter. They go to the north during summer, because north is colder, south is hotter. So in winter, Yemen becomes cool. So in summer, in summer, the area of Damascus, all the vicinity of Damascus, the huge place. Damascus means nowadays Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, maybe some part of Iraq, on the west part of Iraq nowadays. This area is called Bilad al-Sham, the area, the field of geographical field of Damascus. So what? I mean, they went down to south during winter. So none of my business, you know. Anybody would do the same thing because of the season conditions or climate of the seasons. So what shall I do with it? So I found it is meaningless to talk about it. So we have to understand the symbolic teaching there, because the verse is going to tell us فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. Worship the Lord of this house. The real, what the house represents here, oneness, absoluteness of the Creator, only the one which cannot be describable here in the world. So worship. So there are other verses as well in the Quran is related this. This subject is very critical for me, because although when you read it, the translation, I mean, I can ask one of you to read it all together, 4 verses, short, so verses. You say, okay, what shall I do with it? None of my business. Okay, which kind of lesson I should take from it? Nothing, but it is full of wisdom. To my understanding, which I collected or gathered from my readings and took my notes, etc. Now I am sharing the results of my readings with you. So it is something to do with the Hajj as well. It is an interesting subject. Hajj, though, seems to be once in one's life, it took place, and maybe in olden times, it was very difficult to go through the desert, travel through the desert. Nowadays, it is just not a pleasant holiday at all. Going on the plane, as far as the material aspect of the activity of or Hajj is concerned, going on a plane, depending on the distance between your area and Mecca, you you fly 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, and then landing there in the middle of a black mountains with the black storms, nothing else. Now it is full of high-rise buildings. I'm fed up with it in New York. So high-rise buildings are not appealing and doesn't really give any spiritual satisfaction to me at all. My soul feels suffocated when I see this. But there is nothing green, nothing pleasant, no really beach that you can enjoy the sunlight or not a burning sun. I mean, it could be the worst place of resort to go for a holiday. But the point is not that. Point is to revive the heritage of Abraham, pure belief in oneness of God with nothing at all associated with him. So it is the first house, we will read the verse now, established on the earth to represent the worship of one God alone. That is the significance of it. Here we can go over these verses quickly, actually, as quick as possible. Now, let's read it again. Let me read it. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل صدق الله فاتبعوا ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركا وهدى للعالمين فيه آيات بينات مقام إبراهيم ومن دخله كان آمنا ولله على الناس حج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. Hajj was ordered to the believers to perform as long as they can afford it, at least once in one's life. If they can afford it by traveling, by financial support, etc. Means of course, travel. So let's read the English translation.
Say,
who is going to read? Yeah, please go ahead.
Say, God speaks the truth. Follow Then the religion of Abraham, who turned away from all that is false, and was not of those who ascribe divinity to anything other than God. The first temple, house of worship, to be established for people was the one at Baca. It is a blessed place, a source of guidance for all the worlds. There are clear messages in it. It is the place where Abraham stood to pray. Whoever enters it finds inner peace. Pilgrimage to the house is a duty owed to God by people who are able to undertake it.
Thank you for your articulated, slow reading. I love it. So, what happened? Did I do anything wrong? No. Okay. Now, it means we understand that the Hajj, this verse established the Hajj as a duty. Everyone who is capable of doing that, performing it. Okay. Health-wise, financial-wise, or also traveling or journey, physical conditions as well, safety, etc. Nowadays, safety is not a big problem. Health-wise is also somehow, because it's not difficult, but finance-wise is still the problem, maybe the problem for some people. Okay. So we understand that Becca, not Mecca. I'm sure you noticed you are all careful people. Becca. Why? Well, it was known in Mecca that time as well, but Becca. Why? I say, look, whatever you call it, Mecca, Becca, whatever it is, town is not important. Yeah, Kaaba is important. The Baytullah, the house of God is important. But house of God is important in order to revive the tradition, heritage of Abraham, which is Tawheed, oneness of God. So bear in mind, Hajj means, uh, inshallah, some of you might have gone, you might have been there, and if you were not, God willing, you will be able to go there. Let's hope and pray for it. You are not going to Mecca. Never, ever you are going to Saudi Arabia. Nothing to do with it. Saudi Arabia is today a government state, and tomorrow it may go away, or you never know. These are people. Nothing to do with Kaaba. So don't say, I'm going to Saudi Arabia for Hajj. No, 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 no. You missed the point. And also, you shouldn't say, or we should keep in mind that we are not going to Mecca. No, we are not going to Mecca. Mecca, that's why it's not important. So, what are we? Where are we going then? Ah, to revive the heritage of the Prophet Abraham's message, which is Tawheed. His whole life was devoted to proclaiming Tawheed. That is why Abraham is the symbol of Tawheed in all religions, monotheistic religions, of course. Christianity, Judaism from the beginning, following Christianity, and Islam. Equally, they all say Abraham is the representative of the religion of Tawhid and worship of God. Devote, devote your life to God, this God. That is why not the stone building Kaaba, but what it represents is in the heart of Hajj, pilgrimage. That's why it is important. We have to pay attention that Tawhid is related to the area of Mecca or Becca, and it is Qibla. Qibla means the direction of prayer. What does it mean? We, anybody who worships one God, turns to Kaaba, it means the original message of this representation, symbol of the original message delivered by Abraham, which is Tawheed, with the language of the Quran, oneness of God or absoluteness of God, I would say, but people find it somehow strange. What do you mean by absoluteness of God? Because they are used to this translation, oneness of God, one God. Okay, so Kaaba is the place where which represents Tawheed and also protection of Tawheed. So when the people go to Hajj, they go to Qibla. It means their direction of life is to the Tawheed. Of course, we shouldn't forget. Why should I go to Kaaba? Or why should I turn Kaaba and make on Hajj? Because it's a Tawheed is a matter of mind, matter of heart. So I can just understand Tawheed and feel it in my heart, in my feelings, and be satisfied with it and worship God within my own understanding, within my own perception, within my own feelings. Somehow, emotional attachment to God, maybe also rational attachment to God, uh, is associated or accompanied by emotional worship of God. Why should I go to a place on earth? That is, I feel that the concern of many people. And also some people say it outwardly, some people don't say it, but there's still a question in their mind, in their heart. I mean, am I going to contribute to Saudi government's budget by going there? It's a touristic purpose, yes. It is a touristic thing for Saudi government. I accept that. But I am not going there for touristic purposes. So I am not, for example, uh, if I live in somewhere which physically I live in nowadays, my body is in New York, but my spirit doesn't acknowledge any place. But my body is in New York. So if I am going from New York, it means I am going out of the country where I reside normally. Okay, we call it New York is my home, but Hajj and Qibla says your home is Kaaba because your heart belongs to God, who is the only one, Tawheed. So my home is Kaaba. It means Abrahamic, the heritage of Abrahamic tradition. So I am going home to physically experience what Abraham has represented Tawheed in a physical form, because I don't exist only in my mind. I don't exist only in my emotions, feelings. I exist in my body. So, if you like, body is like the world, heart is like Kaaba. So, heart must pump for Tawheed. So, since heart is within body, which is in the language of the Quran, chest, sadr, or plural sudur, in the language of the Quran, in the heart, it means not this heart, this chest. No, no. Body is the chest for my spirit. My spirit's home is Kaaba. My body's home is New York. So, since my body is here, what I have to do, I have to work. I have to make my body also worship God alone. That is why, although my mind has no direction, my heart has no direction, physical direction, because feelings don't accept directions, physical locations. But for spirit, you cannot put any physical directions or limitations to it, to human feelings. But my body has. I have to work. My body worship also the same God as my heart does, my mind does. That is why we are asked to perform prayers, prescribed prayers at least, or more if you like, in the presented, performed in the form of physical activities as well. Not only physical activities, but as well. Because I am spirit, I am mind, I am body as well. So, how I know Tawheed? Again, through physical means. I look at the universe, I look at my own creation, physical existence, and I realize that these things represent something. They bring message to me from their maker. They cannot exist by themselves. So I become aware of the necessity of concluding that this universe must have a creator. And all the qualities I can see, I can observe, experience over the physical body of the universe tells me they are created by an absolute being whose qualities that this is manifested in us must also be absolute, because the way the qualities manifest in this physical world refers to the absoluteness of the source of these qualities. Otherwise, human mind, human feelings can comfortably understand that otherwise these qualities manifested in the creation, beauty, form, decorations, wisdom, purposeful activities, just perfectly measured ways of creation, etc. They all tell me whoever or whatever is the source of this universe must have these qualities in absolute forms. But there is no such thing in the universe. That's how I reach to believe, to conclude that the creator must be the absolute one. That's my that's my experience. So I reach this conclusion, and I understood this through physical means, and also my life experiences everything in physical terms, such as I can see the beauty of the creation, perfection of the creation, design of the creation, measurement, perfect measurement of the creation, perfect timing of the creation, perfect order of the creation, all of them through my eyes. I can hear them through my ears. I can taste them through my tongue. I can touch them through my skin, complexions, hand, or whatever, or my body. So the spirit functions through physical means. We have to remember, and we have to pay attention to this. In this type of creation, spirit, human soul communicates with everything through physical means. The taste through my tongue, and the beauty through my eye. So I have to eat the food prepared for me on the earth, in the world, in physical form. I have to get the fruit, a simple example, and bite it. Otherwise, I cannot taste the delicious taste of the fruit. And then think about, oh, what is the source of existence of taste? And then my mind starts questioning, my heart, my feelings start enjoying it. And then I am able to question how this taste came into existence. So my worship of God also must be through physical means. But my soul is worshiping through physical means. While I am praying, while I am fasting, while I am going on the pilgrimage, of course, my mind, my feelings experience Tawheed and worship of God alone, nothing else. I don't worship any physical being, but I do it through my body. Why? Because I am created here with my body. I cannot deny my reality. I have to be realistic to my own existence. So I have to worship God once, at least once, in my life, where the representative of the belief in oneness of God, absoluteness of God, Abraham, first performed his worship on earth in physical form in an on a piece of land here, and established a symbol there. Here is the place I worship. And when I worship with my body, I feel that, as the Quran, the verses we read, peace there. Because what I am doing there is a simple way of expressing Tawheed by turning to Kaaba. It means representation of Tawheed. My body must turn there. Of course, my mind has nothing to do with directions, no physical restrictions. My soul also has nothing to do with physical restrictions, but according to the reality of my existence in this world, I exist with my body. So Tawheed also must be represented with the body, but this body is not the object of worship at all. The Quran will emphasize it. We will study this. I don't know whether we will be able to go there, to go this verse today, but this chapter needs a long introduction because otherwise we would be reading really meaningless, irrelevant, doesn't really echo in my spirit. And simple, I, don't, I mean, if you look at it from outside, it's meaningless. The story of a tribe, Arab tribe, none of my business. But it is full of meaning. If you just look at it, as we said, is a symbolic teaching representing something. Tawhid, for example, for me, that's why my body must turn to this direction, which will remember in terms of the conditions of this physical world that this is the place where the, I mean, not the founder, but as a prophet founder of the belief in Tawheed on earth, as far as I know historically. There may be someone else before, well, possibly, that's why not. But I am now able to have this knowledge and get the knowledge in historical context, which is available for me now through Torah tradition, that Abraham was the representative Mecca because of Quraysh.
Brother
So
Ali, we
as
lost your voice for a few seconds.
okay, I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. Okay, so that is why it is important. Is there any hand raised? Oh, there is something here. Afshan Haq. When you say Quraysh represents Kaaba, are you referring to Quraysh as the name of the chapter or the tribe itself? Now, both. Why? The chapter is named Quraysh, and Quraysh means a tribe. But I'm sure I don't pay attention to the participants or comments. I don't know, chat backs or somebody is raising his hand. Please warn me, somebody, anyone, especially the host. Yeah, if there is something. So uh, I don't know whether you were in the beginning. We said Quraysh means Mecca, Mecca means Kaaba, Kaaba means Abrahamic tradition. Abrahamic tradition means Abraham's teaching message. Abraham's message, the core message of Abraham is Tawheed. That's why we have to go to Tawheed. If, of course, it is not the way the Quran speaks, because Quran is introducing ghaib, the absolute word, to us. Absolute word cannot be presented unless you use other literary means, allegories, metaphors, symbolic teachings, figurative teachings. So stories, similes, they have to use this in order to make this absoluteness of Tawheed, God, accessible to human mind, human understanding, so that this understanding will be transferred to our soul, human feelings, and the feelings will really feel peace in it. If you notice about the content of the verse that we are, the verses actually, there are three verses we have been studying here now. The first word it says, the religion of Abraham, who turned away from all that's false and wasn't of those who ascribed divinity to anything other than God. Yeah, that is one, the first 9 to 5 verse. And then the temple of the house of worship, أول بيت وضعت للناس, again, the first house of worship to be established for people was the one at Becca. Again, but the subject, if you pay attention to it, from Abrahamic tradition came to Becca. It is a blessed place, a source of guidance for all the worlds now. Why? Because there are clear messages in it. It is a place where Abraham stood to pray. That is why it is sacred. Not because earth is sacred. No, where the prayer of Abraham was performed in this physical world. So whoever enters it finds inner peace, because inner peace for human beings is only possible. Emnia, this is the word says, Mubarakan wa hudan lil alamin. And real guidance, it means human soul and feelings are put on the right way, just fitting to their expectations. So the line goes here from the Abraham and establishing the first, establishing Tawheed, and then representing in the house of worship, because it is in Becca, but because the prophet Abraham stood to pray there. I mean, putting the message in its physical form while he was praying. But how he prayed, none of my business. But he performed his prayer, his Maqam Ibrahim there. So it means Maqam Ibrahim, his Maqam, his place there representing Tawheed, worship of God alone. And in this worship of God alone, Tawheed, it means practicing your understanding of Tawheed in your life, one finds inner peace. So that at the very end, the subject comes to pilgrimage. Now, you want to go to a place. Let's say there is an historic city, yep, and you are interested in history or archaeology, whatever it is, and maybe architecture. So you go to a place where there are beautiful arts manifested in the form of architecture or miniatures, etc. So you take on the journey from where you are, where your physical body is. Take your physical body, but your interests, your mind, your feelings are full of love of this artful architecture, let's say. I mean, there are really beautiful architectures in Isfahan, so you can go to Isfahan. So there are very fine arts there. You can see the pictures of it. So your heart is full of that art. Your body turns to Asfahan. Okay? So as you are going to Isfahan, you're on your Qibla. When you go to Isfahan, what do? You go wander around the city to experience all kinds of beautiful architecture there, buildings, etc. Now, when you go to Kaaba, what do? That is your Qibla. You always turn to it. But when we turn to Qibla, we have to remember that we are on the journey to Tawheed. So that is our destination. As soon as we reach the destination, that is my purpose of life. I would feel peace in Tawheed. And Tawheed is represented in this physical world by worshiping God alone through performing our prayers. So each prayer we perform it must be an intent to go to Tawheed and find peace there. So we say, okay, I was busy with this world and really forget about the need of my spirit. I was busy with my physical needs, etc. Okay, well, that is how we are created, of course, but our heart must be seeking the signs of Tawheed everywhere, and then we have to gather our conclusions and present to our Creator during the prayer. So that is what five daily prayers represent. Present my conclusion to God, the one God who is the creator of this world and myself. Here is what I concluded. And while I am doing this, I shouldn't forget there are, for example, you and I understand that message which carries the word of God, speech of God, and it is presented to me in the form of a speech through a physical man who is employed to spread, convey this message to people through a human voice and represented the content of the message in the form of a human body, which is called the messenger who carries the message. You understand that in this world, you cannot really separate my transactions with everything in this world, including my prayers, including my concept of how I developed the concept of Tawheed only through, yes, Tawheed is nothing to do with matter, but can only be reached out through matter. So my spirit functions through body. Message of God, speech of God, functions through the prophet, if you like, the body of the prophet. So Tawheed is functions through the place where Abraham stood in order to realize, make it real in physical terms for prayer in Kaaba. That is why they are all integrated with each other. You cannot separate them. So you cannot say that I'm worshiping God in my heart. No, can you taste the food in your heart without eating the food and thanking God who created the taste of the food in a miraculous way? So can you get your satisfaction if you don't eat food by saying, I am satisfied with my spiritual experience of God's providence? And then you will be in trouble. That's how we are not created. We are created with physical forms as well. So we have to worship in physical forms as well. But of course, the physical form alone is not enough, but it must have meaning in it. That's why we find peace where? In worship, where Abraham stood. And while I am performing my worship in Hajj, during Hajj, I feel peace again represented by a physical building, which is the simplest building, because the verse says, be careful, you are not there to worship the stone building. You are there to worship who is represented through the stone in the physical form. We have to understand, otherwise, it becomes meaningless for us to perform prayer in my bodily form. It becomes meaningless. Why should I turn my body to Kaaba? Of course, I mean, when we are not careful, we say we are turning to Mecca. No, I'm not turning to Mecca. Mecca has nothing to do with me. But Kaaba makes the significance of everything. So Tawhid makes the significance of Kaaba. So Tawhid is represented through Abraham. Is a physical being as well. But message is not physical being. Speech of God is not physical being, but represented through a physical being. That's why my body becomes dysfunctioning. What happens? They say he lost his life. It was, my body is not functioning. Yeah, it is. It is called life. Okay, hayat. Okay, I'm not saying no. It is the quality of existence as well. So when my body loses its power of functioning, what happens? Death. Death means what? Huh? My spirit cannot use my body anymore. It is not functioning. So my spirit leaves this physical world because my spirit cannot function without physical means. So that is why death is equal to not losing life. That is equal to spirit leaving my body because my body doesn't function. That is how the order of the universe is arranged so that we understand for our spirit, which is not really subject to time changes, it is created but not subject to time differences and physical boundaries, limitations, directions. It is put in this body within the conditions of this existence because we are created being. We cannot be absolute. Only absolute, by definition, must be free, absolutely free from the restrictions of physical being. Otherwise, every creature must have a physical being. must have a physical form. But of course, the physical forms are different. Every creature has different physical forms. That's why the Quran speaks about jinn. It says it is created out of what? Flame. I mean, it is an interesting thing that uh, وخلق الجان من مارج من نار مارج, if I'm not mistaken. So it means nar marriage. How can I describe it? It's not fire, but when fire is burning, the first time fire, I mean, the energy is transformed, or the matter, whatever the fuel is transformed into fire. There is an in the beginning, as if nothing is seen there. That's why it's jinn. Jinn means covered. Jannah means to cover up. It is hidden. So it is interesting. Anyways, it is created out of something. That is the problem. But not like a human body, which is created out of earth or clay or whatever you call it. It doesn't matter. Tin in Arabic, the Quranic language. So it is something very, very physical. But jinn is not. But it is still makhluk. It's created out of something, with something that is appropriate to the conditions of this world, whatever. So in the hereafter, in the hereafter, are we not going to be created? Yes, we are. If we are going to be created, we must be given another type of physical existence as well, so that my soul is going to function through these physical means as well. But different life conditions, yes. The Quran gives the news that, of course, everything will be alive. For example, it says will be in the living form. It says, the Quran says, everything's life standard will be upgraded one stage further or higher, which means the earth. Now, if you look at this world and want to compare it, uh, the earth of this world will become like animal lives, sort of like horses, donkeys, birds, or cats, or something like that. And then also partially communicating with you. When you ask the tree, come to you, he will understand and come. Like the dogs, they call it, it comes. So that is it. So can you imagine? Human body will become like human soul here. Human soul will become what? A higher grade. Oh, I don't know. And which kind of body we are going to be given? Oh, I don't know. So that is why we cannot imagine hereafter. But we can only say that the spirit cannot
Lost your voice again, Brother Ali.
we have to understand that we cannot get out of being in the created form. We are created beings. We cannot become really without any physical restrictions. It means we cannot become absolute. We cannot become infinite. So we have to be restricted. So that is our reality because we are created beings. We are not gods. So I have to experience my life conditions according to my reality, which is a created being together with physical form, any kind. But any kind of physical form, I don't know what it is. So while I am on the earth, while my spirit is operating in my body, I have to pray with my body. I have to turn to the representation of Tawheed to remember me. So my journey of life will be towards my destination, which is the home of my soul. Tawheed represented on earth, Kaaba, where Abraham, the founder of the Tawheed religion, prophet, I mean, not as a person, but he received the message which establishes the Tawheed through the messengership of Abraham. That is a physical form. It is inevitable in this world. So I have to practice Hajj for this purpose. So Hajj is I think, as far as I know, it is the last, I don't remember. The interest is prohibited, fornication is prohibited. I don't know. These are the very late Medinian period, towards the very end of the prophetic life, actually. Hajj is the last, I think. If I am wrong, well, maybe it's a matter of months, confusing with this kind of interest or this kind of things. I mean, uh, means of worship, physical forms of worship as well. They are called fiqh rules, laws, or the Sharia laws, as far as the practical side of life is concerned. So we have to go to Hajj, but be careful. Nowadays, this concept of Hajj is faded away. Lots of experiences I see. I have been there on various occasions. I said I can make only Hajj alone by myself. I found very difficult to find and accompany people with me there. But my body was with them. But my understanding of Hajj was completely different what I experienced there. There must be some people as well, excuse me, like I felt. Definitely, but I didn't know who were there. That's why uh, I try to, when it is difficult, it is uh, once a life, once in one's life, it is 2 3 days. But you really to experience the meaning of life, Hajj, pilgrimage, is worth a whole life. This is the secret of this creation, actually, in the world. Her hand up. Okay. Afshan, go ahead.
Doctor, you explained to us what the Hajj represents. Can you please explain to me what walking around Kaaba 7 times represents? I'm curious.
You are right. Thank you very much to bring up this subject to our attention, because I was going there. Tawaf, circumambulation, whatever circumambulation or whatever the word is, use it, turning around Kaaba. When you go to Tabriz, in my example, you remember the previous example, your destination is Tabriz. When you go to Tabriz, what do? You settle down there and go and visit all things that had you had in your heart, you were admiring, but by seeing the pictures, etc. That's a symbolic. Again, it's an example on an analogy. So you go nowhere now. Turn around the city. Yes. Now what you do, your heart directs, or your body as well, turns to Kaaba all your life because you are on journey on Hajj. In fact, every prayer is a step to reach the climax of Tawheed, represented in the earth, Kaaba. When you go there, what do you do? Now, turn around it, turn around it, turn around it. Yeah, but don't lose yourself 7 times, 9 times. That's the physical side of it, physical side of it. Okay, no, don't spoil that rules. But your mind must be, I am tying it up, making another knot, making another knot. I'm not going to get out of this tawhid. I'm not going to really uh, dissolve this sacred in my life. Just keep it always upright in my life. Make it another knot. Turn around and make a knot. You understand my pronunciation is with K-N-O-T, knotting. That's what how I pronounce. If it is wrong, please correct me. So make another one, make another one. So it is a kind of confirmation over and over again. I am not going to forget Tawheed. It must be the center of my life. Now, again, you are not going anywhere else. Center of your life to make sure your connection to Tawheed. So while you are making tawaf, they say, read this prayer. Of course, you can read it, but your intention must be, I am promising over and over again. I am not going to ignore the truth of Tawhid in my life. It must be the center heart of my life. I am promising again, my God, please make me cling to this concept of Tawheed, which is represented here by your messenger, the Prophet Abraham. And he prayed here, he performed the worship of you in this place as a representation of later generations. So I have received this message through the prophet Muhammad, the messenger of God. So I am revitalizing it, I am revivaling it, and I am trying to strengthen it as much as possible for me. Now, as if you are making your covenant with God and putting your signature under the covenant of Tawheed in your relationship with God by making each tawaf of Kaaba. That with it physical, yes, we have been talking about it. Physical form of Hajj must be necessary, must be necessary. Physical form of worship must be necessary. Physical form of prayer must be necessary. Physical form of fasting and physical form of giving zakat. You can say, I am purifying my life, saying that these properties are given to me. Okay, correct. Yeah, by God. It is not mine, it is God's. Okay. When God presents to you a needy person, why don't you give it to him then physically, materially? Give your property, give your money, some of it, not all. Yeah, God says don't go to extreme and don't be wasteful as well in doing this kind of activities. Even they are good activities, but be moderate. That is the moderate religion I'm presenting to you. So give it to him because God sent this poor, needy guy to you in order to show you that you have to do it physically. Everything is physical. Everything is physical. Even when you say, I believe in God, not verbally say, you conclude, let's say, conclude in your mind, in your feeling, There is only one God. Yeah, that is in your mind, okay? There is only one God. Really, I'm absolutely sure about it. And my feelings say, of course, I belong to the absolute being. So no worry for me. I feel peace in this understanding. So my feelings all satisfied with this eternal happiness in understanding that, realizing that I belong to the eternal being. Ah, my boss is the eternal being. That is really securing this amnia, security, gives the security, it gives the inner peace to me. Now, when I say this in my mind, in my understanding, I have to say it with my tongue. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illahu. Means my tongue must say it. If I don't say it with my tongue, no one acknowledges me as a believer in God and treats me as believer in God in this physical world. So I will be losing my connection with the community, human beings around me without an identity. No. For example, if you partner, so if you, for example, I don't know whether you were born here or not. I wasn't born here, and I became uh, at the U.S. citizen. So they take they took us to a place where we took off. Come on, I'm living here. I'm happy with this setting. Somehow, I'm not really sanctifying it, but I am happy with it. It is better than most of the Muslim countries. So I am happy here. So they said, no, 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 you have to say it. Why? You have to say it, declare it, put your signature underneath it. Why? That is life reality. So, for example, in an Islamic administration, if you have any problem with the administration, you have to say, I believe in God, La ilaha illallah, and my identity is Islam. If you don't say it, they would treat you as a non-believer. That is how we are created. So we should never, ever separate the belief from its physical performance, which is called amal, practice. We translate it as good deeds. No, what's my physical form? It means anything that I declare must be physically expressed as well in various means. Okay, maybe sharing the property, maybe saying La ilaha illallah, maybe saying I believe in God and etc. Amantu billah. Maybe praying with your body, joining the community congregations, maybe going to the Hajj together, all physical form as well. It doesn't really diminish the value of your spiritual experiencing by accompanying your physical body with it. That is the importance of this verse that we are reading uh, from Ali Imran 95, 96, 97. That's why I said if I want to understand Quraysh, we studied only Quraysh, Li'ila fi Quraysh, verse 1, first verse. So in order to understand this, I said we have to study these verses because it is directly related to it. And even God says, Becca, or not Mecca. It means that the name is not important, but a physical, geographical place on earth. So making the covenant again and again, repeating your oath, your covenant, your testimony that you believe in one God, and confirming it again and again and again means circumambulation of Kaaba in physical form. That's why we go to Hajj. That's why we make tawaf. But while you are making tawaf, you are not aware of it. That is a problem anyway. Problem of our generations, late generations. I mean, it is a matter of education. It's a matter of training. None of my business other people, what they do, what they have in their mind. But I have to be conscious of what I am doing while I'm praying, fasting, giving zakat, charity, or going on Hajj, because the last command of God in physical form that I am expected to do most probably is Hajj. It means this is the climax of my physical performance of my belief in this world. It is the highest point. That is why Hajj is only once in your life. Because you can reach the highest point only once, not twice in your life. But 5 daily prayers is the highest point of that specific time frame between sunrise and sun, how do you say, when the sun is just straight up in the zenith. So in between time, and that is represented by after the noon prayer or Zuhur prayer in the language of the Islamic tradition, Zuhur prayer. But Hajj is the highest point in your life. That's why we have to circumambulate. It means repeat, reconfirm the covenant with your belief in Tawheed, therefore with your God. That's how I understood whether it makes it clear for you. Oh, I cannot guarantee anything, whether it's good or not. I cannot guarantee. I don't know. If you have further questions, I think that, the time what? 12 minutes past the time. I apologize for it. Inshallah, next Monday, we will continue this subject. But I think we covered the heart of the subject that we are going to deal. Of course, there are لإلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. What is this رحلة of the winter, رحلة of summer? We will discuss. But if we have time, the following قارعة. This is interesting, another interesting short chapter of the Quran. And it is the chronologically following revealed chapter after Quraysh. So we will go on it if we have time. If we don't have time, questions, answers, and concerns, and maybe detailed explanations if needed, then we will follow, inshallah, if God wills, on the following weeks, on Mondays, inshallah. I stop here. I think we can stop. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa akhiru da'wahum and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Inshallah, I'll see you on Wednesday if you can. And at 5 o'clock, we have the story of Moses again. Interesting. For me, everything is interesting in the Quran. So I love it. And also Saturday, if not next month.